Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I'm your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I'm glad that you're here with me. Today's episode has instrumentals by me for your inspiration, music industry news, and later I'll be joined by my special guest, Admiral, and we're going to talk about his journey as an artist, building brands, revenue streams, and creative control. So it's going to be a great time. I'm excited to be bringing this episode to you. And before I go ahead and drop that first beat, I gotta give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And with that, let's go. I'm music producer Chick with Beats, back with the Music Biz Brief. And first up, YouTube plans to expand access to AI tools that let creators experiment with music later this year. And this is according to the CEO Neil Mohan's 2026 priorities memo. The platform says its approach will balance experimentation with safeguards as YouTube continues efforts to limit the spread of low-quality AI content. The company also plans updates to shorts and new music discovery features aimed at making it easier for audiences to find and engage with new releases. AudioMax says it's reached 50 million monthly active users, up 31% year over year, with mobile app downloads driving a lot of the growth. It continues to see strong traction in Africa, where its app regularly ranks among the top downloads in more than 20 countries, and is preparing to launch AudioMac Pro, a paid artist tier offering verification, deeper analytics, and faster access to royalties. AI music platform Udio has signed a licensing deal with Merlin, giving indie labels and distributors the option to participate in Udio's relaunch as a licensed, industry-approved AI service. So this comes after securing deals with major labels, as Udio is changing its tune from its prior stance that it didn't need permission to train on music. So we'll see how this unfolds. Sources say Universal Music's $775 million acquisition of Downtown Music Holdings is expected to be approved by the European Commission. The deal was delayed last year over concerns about sensitive royalty and rights management data, but Universal proposed removing Downtown Curve's division to address those issues. Independent labels still oppose the acquisition and warn that it could reduce competition and limit opportunities for new and diverse music in Europe. They're not wrong. And finally, AXS has sued Secure My Pass, a tool that lets ticket resellers bypass transfer restrictions and sell clone tickets outside the AXS platform. The lawsuit says it infringes trademarks, breaches AXS's terms, and can harm consumers through incorrect seat assignments or repeated ticket sales. Secure My Pass disputes the claims, saying tickets scanned correctly, but AXS says the tool undermines ticket security and fan protections, while also cutting into its resale revenue. Alright, that's it for the Music Biz Brief. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then I'll be back with my special guest, Admiral, right after this. Keep it locked. I'm a Chick with Beats, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit achickwithbeats.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwithbeats.com. That's achickwithbeats.com. Let's make something happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I'm your host, music producer, Chick with Beats, and I'm so glad to say that I have back in the virtual building with me again, Admiral. If you could, just let everybody know a little bit about who you are. This is not your first time on the show, but some listeners who may have missed it the first time around, if you could give a little bit of background as to who you are and how you got involved with music and everything else that you do.
That sounds great. Happy to be back, first and foremost. So, yes, I go by the name Admiral. I'm an MC entrepreneur representing Bronx, New York. Been a veteran in the game with lots of projects and other things that's going on. So really just excited. Obviously, when we had our first interview with one of my favorites, I wanted to put that out there too. Just really it's always cool to have some real cool hip hop intellectual conversation and dialogue. I always love that too. So just happy to be back.
Yeah, so glad to have you back. And for the people who may not know, this man is one of the busiest people out there. So if you could let them know what's about to be hitting digital platforms pretty soon. I understand you had like the exclusive release on your website, but now, yeah, you got something about to hit the platforms this upcoming week. So
yes, so we got a new project getting ready to drop on next Monday, the 26th, so called A King's Calling. That's my new album. Like you just mentioned, I did an exclusive release just for the fans and supporters. I kind of just thought about something in terms of just how I want to release music just going forward too. So I will always make sure that I get the supporters first dibs on my music going forward. So that's just something that I decided to do. Mm-hmm. As we all know how the DSPs work, right? And we talk about how the challenges of how hard it is to obviously drive revenue, strictly from streaming platforms. It's next to impossible without a real marketing machine behind your project. So obviously with me being an independent, I'm really doing a lot to just go straight to consumer. So that was kind of the motivation about how I released this project. So very pleased with the results from the early release too. So that is just gives me more motivation just to continue to make sure that I do more direct to consumer work. Yeah. So a lot of my releases going forward, you'll see a lot of them will have early releases, probably with some incentives that we're going to build in as well, just for just to show the fans some love, for supporting. Yeah. Obviously, we know this isn't an easy game to thrive in, so that's kind of what we're going to be doing.
Okay. I mean, that's an incredibly smart strategy. Looking at some of the independent artists who have had success that they've been kind of working towards and gearing up for, those are the routes that they've gone. And I kind of wish that we'd see more independent artists doing what you're doing and the way that that's working out. So for somebody that might be kind of considering that, like, let's say they're listening now and like, what, I heard about artists that did this. Do you have any tips or advice for them to kind of get rolling in that motion?
Yeah, I think the main thing too, and this is something I had to learn myself too, right? Obviously, as creatives, we tend to, put a lot of our energy in just the work and the art itself too, right? Mm-hmm. But obviously, it's not a inexpensive business, right? So at the end of the day, you need to really strategize and have a plan when you're preparing your project, right? So you don't want to wait until after everything's done and you're ready to release. You honestly want to have a plan ahead of how you want to attack it, right? And there's different avenues that you want to tap into to just draw attention to your work.
Yeah.
Obviously, with us being in the virtual world, it's been a little bit difficult. You don't have a lot of as much human interaction in terms of just how people go about it, and you think about those waves is so saturated with
Yeah.
different content that's flowing nonstop. So you have to kind of come up with certain things to get closer to your audience. So this is why I think I'm kind of going exclusive with releases is allowed you to build that personal relationship with your fan base and
Yeah.
kind of organically build it that way too. So it's something that I wish I would have done a lot sooner. Obviously, I have a lot of material out in the world, but
Yeah.
I would have really been able to benefit a lot sooner from that approach. So I think there are like you mentioned, there are people that do operate in that lane, but we should see a lot more of it. I
Absolutely.
think this is how artists can take their power back in the grand scheme of things.
Take their power back. Yeah, that's that's something, man. That's like a whole nother episode in itself, though. I'm trying not to go down that
Yeah, I know.
rabbit hole.
I hear you.
But you're right, though, because yeah, you pour all your energy, your talent, your time into your
It's
work,
so much.
and then yeah, for somebody else to just be taking a huge chunk of it before it even comes to you.
Right.
I know I used to see a lot when the complaints kind of first started coming out about Spotify. They were like, man, they only take 30%. And I'm like, well, if your manager was taking 30% and not even promoting you or like doing any management type things, you wouldn't be okay with that.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I wholeheartedly hear you and support everything that you've said and what you're doing.
And like the things that we have, we're in the information era now too, right? So like I said, if you really want to learn about this, it's just effort. It's effort at that point to really just kind of unpack some of these things. But like I said, the splits, from the DSPs is public knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You can Google that,
Right.
to really see what that is. So it's not even something that is secret anymore,
Right.
So if you want, you think about how much it costs, between studio costs, production, time, marketing, all of that you have to spend, and see you getting fractions of a cent, for your streams. Like,
right. Not
it's
even
not
a full
sustainable.
penny. Like, really?
Right. It's not sustainable. Like, and this is where a lot of the frustration you see come from a lot of people,
Absolutely. And with Luminate recently releasing their year-end report, I mean, just the fact that you got like 106,000 tracks. So the what do you call it? Those ISRC numbers are.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's a lot to be hitting every single day. Like, so yeah. And to think about how many of those aren't actually generating enough streams to even reach the threshold to get
monetizing, right?
Yeah, the percentage of a cent. Like you can't even get that fraction. Like, yeah. So
it's insane.
Right.
So that's ultimately why, like I said, because I love making music, right? But at the same token, right, to really keep my sanity and my focus on really being able to be creative and continue to do that, and and sustain a business. Like you just have to first, I think you need some revenue streams to sustain you, and also keep kind of keep your energy in the right place, right? Too, because ultimately, like I said, that frustration could consume you,
right?
So for me, I really learned just over the years. Like I've been doing this a long time, and like I said, I've been in situations with bad deals and things like that too. So I love being independent. I just think like you just have to have the right work ethic and kind of be your own boss in terms of just planning on how you want to execute, right? Because if you can do that, then you can make it worth your while. But I understand like a lot of these artists' frustration in terms of just like the return, return on what they put in. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you mentioned something that I think I kind of want to highlight a little bit, because you said that you understand the frustration, but you've been doing it a while and you finally understand, like okay, this is part of it, but I know what I need to do in order to maintain.
Yeah. And that's the
How?
part of it too. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what you pull that from experience though too, right? Because like I said, life is adjustments, right? You make adjustments in anything that you do,
that's so true.
right? If you if it's something that you're really passionate about too, right? So for myself, I want to continue to make music, but like I said, I just have to keep my eyes open to and be honest. Like I think this is the other part I think a lot of artists struggle with too, is just being honest with themselves in terms of what they're doing, right?
Mm.
Because some people may think they're putting in a lot of work and they're hustling, but are you really at the end of the day, right?
Right.
You got to be honest with yourself, right? At the end of the day, because that is what will keep you level-headed as well, and not and frustrate yourself unnecessarily.
So true. All right.
You
And
know?
and you mentioned, making sure that you still have revenue streams come in.
Yeah,
So that kind of reminds me a little bit about talking about your clothing line.
absolutely.
Glory Ave signature that you got going. I love my hoodie, by the way. I know the people have seen me in my purple one. Probably gonna post another pic pretty soon too.
Yeah.
But
Don't forget, I got something else coming your way too. So just
awesome.
stay tuned.
All right. So yeah, if you could maybe talk a little bit about that and kind of give some insight as to actually even how you got started with that, a little background. Because I found that fascinating. I believe the listeners will too.
Yeah, I think and this is a really good story too, and it kind of ties in what we've already been talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
So just prior to COVID kind of shutting down people being able to move around, like typically as an artist, how you you're running around doing shows and performing and doing things of that nature. It was that was something that I was big in terms of just events and that was a portion of my business that drove was one of the biggest revenue drivers of my brand. So when I lost the ability to kind of move around for that time period, I was looking at like what else could I do to continue to keep the brand awareness up and also drive some revenue. So I had already been kind of creating pieces for my label and and my team. So at that point, I just started doing doing a little bit more of that and kind of interacting with folks, and then kind of testing out if this could be something that we could use as another avenue to kind of just drive the business. And it started to work. So I started with t-shirts. Initially it was just a plain basic logo tee that when I was out and about, people would see and always inquire what it is, because like I said, my brand is Glory Ave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the people, no one really knew it. No one knew what it was, right? So obviously just in passing, right, it just looks the logo pops to a lot of people. So a lot of people would just ask about it too. And then I would kind of tell them it was my brand, and it allowed me to kind of share my story, and in terms of just how it came about. So it started with that piece, right? So obviously, I experimented with some more pieces, and ultimately it turned out being that something I think helped from two avenues, right? Obviously, it was something that was an extension of the brand and something that I could use consistently to keep the awareness up,
Mm-hmm.
and also drive some business to finance some of the other parts of the brand too at the same token. So I'm really excited to kind of where what is grown to. The awareness is gaining traction too, and the feedback that I get about the pieces are is usually very, very, very positive, and definitely something I'm looking forward to continue to drive.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible story. One thing I kind of want to ask, and I wasn't actually planning on asking you this, but and listening to you talk and the terminology and everything that you use, you are very business minded. So you got a lot of left brain and right brain stuff going on. How do you balance all these thoughts to be so creative, but still be so knowledgeable about the business side of everything?
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because I remember when I got involved with just the music industry in general, right? I was I was a kid, and I got involved with a group, right? So that's how I started, right? And it was so easy for me because it was basically like just showing up to the studio, show up to the studio with your work, and then and show up at the shows and perform. But it was a big group of us, right? Not much. I wasn't very knowledgeable about the business at all, right? But as time passed, right, and then as the game went more into the independent lane, right?
Yeah.
That is where I found out this is where I belong in that too, because I've always kind of been somewhat business knowledgeable. But when it came to something that I was personally invested in, I think that's flipped the switch at that point too, because then now you force yourself to learn things to grow your brand, right? And that was kind of what switched things for me. So once I got out of the group situation, and that's when I started the Gloria brand, like literally right after that situation, and just piece by piece, and I was a student at the same time while I was running a company at the same time. So,
Wow.
and I still do it to this day. It's still a learning process, because obviously everything moves so quickly, right? You just have to always be a student, because there's always something new to learn.
Man, you ain't never lied. For
Always
me,
something.
yeah, I don't want to date myself, so I'm not going to give specific years, but I did get a degree in marketing many, many years ago, and things are so much different now
Absolutely.
than then. So it's like, if I don't keep studying and learning, but yeah, imagine me being stuck I'll just go ahead and say it was the early 2000s. So, yep. So yeah, imagine like not evolving, like no matter how confident you are or how much you think you know about something, like things are always changing. So I love what you said about always being a student, because yeah, there's always more room to grow and learn. And
especially in this day and time, right?
Yeah.
When we look at it too, there's just think of technology. I always use that as a reference point when I talk about this, because think about when the first cell phones came out, right?
Yeah.
When you think about that, right, it was like monumental, right?
Yeah.
When that happened, right? Now think about fast forward the last 20 years, right? You have to, like Apple, for example, right?
Yeah.
How often do they update their phones a year now? Think about that. Just think about the speed and advancement of technology in that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Now we have the whole Copilot era and Chat GPT and all this stuff now, right? So
yeah, it's insane. Like
it's
just the speed at which everything has
evolved. Speed of everything has developed, exactly, and it's only going to get faster.
Yeah.
Until it crashes, right?
Exactly.
So at that point, and this what I'm saying is like you have to be able to. I use that as a reference just to say you have to be able to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And there's no shame, like I said, if you want to do certain things, and kind of keep certain things traditional. Yes, you always have the power to do that, but you have to understand what comes with that too, right?
Right.
So, you at the end of the day, it has to be about what do you want for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great way to kind of sum that up. So, all right, you mentioned when you had left the group, that's when you had launched your brand and all that stuff. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure that I word this the right way so that my question makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you say you approach things differently, I guess, between handling something on your own and when you're collaborating with other individuals? Like, do you have to kind of have the same mindset with whoever you collaborate with, or do you just kind of take some of your own experience into the situation, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think I learned a lot from the group situation that I was in, because obviously, like I said, I was a total newcomer to it, right? I was like, music was a hobby to me prior to that situation, right? It was just something that, we did on the block. It was
Mm-hmm.
something that was fun, right? And once I started to get involved with certain things and understand the process of creating, and then how music is sold, and actually learning that whole process, right? It was something that I took with me when after that situation was done. And I had an understanding of what I wanted, and one thing I definitely wanted to have was more say so and control of my art.
Mm.
That was huge for me, because I learned, like when you're working with a lot of different people too, there's agendas involved, right?
Yes,
And a
yes.
lot of time there's selfish agendas, and it's not by I don't think it's malicious at all. I think it's more of a situation where I know what I come from, right? And I know this situation where I came from, and a lot of people that I was working with too, right? We didn't have it. We was grinding,
Yeah, yeah.
and just people when people just want to get themselves out of a situation and they think this is the meal ticket to do it, right? A lot of people want shortcuts. A lot of people want to just do things to kind of position themselves, right? But it really wasn't about the collective,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what broke that situation apart. Ultimately, like I said, it was great when it was about the art, right? But the more I got into the business,
Mm.
that was what started showing the cracks in what was going on. So coming out of that situation, I had to make a decision, right? I knew that I still wanted to make music, and I didn't really know what next looked like too, right? So but I definitely know that I wanted to have more control of it too. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this independent, right? Didn't
Yeah.
know a whole lot, right? But I said I'll just do it slowly, right? Because it's mine, right? So I can kind of pace myself and learn step by step. So my very first project I released under my brand, and then that is when I started really networking and doing business for myself at that point. So I learned it fast forwarded my learning process at that point, because it was my imprint, right?
Yeah.
So obviously when you're out there and just trying to establish it, right, it takes a lot more,
Mm.
than when you're working with a bunch of people and everyone kind
Right.
of has shared responsibility.
Right. Right. That makes sense. So now, when you approach collaborations, are there certain things that you look for, when you're choosing who to work with, whether it's
Absolutely.
other artists or producers or anything like that?
Absolutely. I'm glad you got to this point of it too. That's going to kind of lead into our next next subject. But yeah, I'm a lot more I do a lot more research now. That's probably the biggest change too, right?
Mm.
Because I obviously you want to work with people that is on the same page, right? And you want to kind of understand it, and you don't want to waste your time. I think
Mm.
that's one of the main things, right? So you want to do your homework first, right? Before
Yeah.
even kind of approaching things like that. So that's probably the biggest difference between how I approach things now and how I did in the past.
Yeah.
I'm very selective with the people that I work with on any level, right? Like if it has to do with the music, merchandise, whatever it is, right? I try and do my homework first.
Mm. That's such great advice. So, yeah, can you tell us about any collaborations you have coming up now?
Yeah, so I'm just and this literally just started this week. So I'm working on a collab album with a producer from Toronto named This Is Hip Hop.
Mm.
So for us, and this is kind of what I was just speaking to. This was an organic relationship that was just built. I originally featured on a record that he had with another artist, right? And then they sought me out to do some more work. So ultimately, I did another collaboration record with him for his album, and then also just as as a exchange, he did a feature on did a production feature on my album.
Okay.
On actually album that's we're getting ready to release too. So that's and it's called Insomniac. So you'll be able to catch that on the album once you check that out. But it was really good to work with someone just off the love of the craft and the respect for the mutual work ethic. Like this guy's got tons of music, working with artists around the world, and just is very consistent, very clear in terms of just like how he wants to build his brand as well too. So I could relate a lot with it too. So definitely excited about this project. So literally we're just starting. So I'll be in the studio probably this week to lay down the first record for this. So hopefully in the springtime we'll probably have that out for the people. But I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Maybe we can sneak you back in here to tell us a little bit more about it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great. Well, you know what? I can't believe how quickly this time just flew by. I feel
always like that for us.
Yeah, every single time, even on the old podcast, you know. Yeah. But so yeah, again, I thank you and definitely want to make sure that you know that you're welcome to come back anytime and share with us what you've got going on. And before I close this out, I want to make sure, one, that you get to make sure that you've mentioned everything that you want to talk about. Two, everybody knows exactly where to find you, follow you, and listen to your music, your website, all that good stuff. And three, anything else that you kind of want to leave thoughts for people to kind of marinate on.
Okay, so definitely we'll start with the we'll start just with the context, obviously, so I don't forget. So definitely you can find me. I always like people to stop by the website. So that's Admiral11.com. And definitely it has all my content. It's one-stop shop for everything that I have musically there. So definitely make sure you check that out. In terms of social media, which I know most people tend to track down, I'm at Admiral11, and my company is Gloriav ENT. So that's basically anything music related. Those are the two handles. And in terms of the merchandise, you can check out the line at Gloriav Signature on social media, and as well as gloriavsignature.com for the website, so you can see the full product line and previews and that whole bit. So definitely that's how you can get in touch with me. Definitely looking hear from folks. So definitely I'm a builder. So like I said, if anyone wants to build, connect, I'm all about that. So definitely feel free to reach out. In terms of just what's coming, like when we talked about earlier, we have the new album A King's Calling dropping on January 26th on all streaming platforms. So please make sure you check that out. Drop your feedback, share, that whole bit. And like I said, if you like what you hear, feel free to reach out and let's build. And also be on the lookout this spring for War Paint. So that's the name of the new album. So that's the album that will be released with This Is Hip Hop, my Canadian brother there. So and be on the lookout for that too. But and I'm also looking to release 2 more projects for 2026. So definitely a lot more to come. But as always happy to hop on the platform and build. So definitely let's set up some more time and connect.
Absolutely. I'm excited. And see, I started off, I said, man, this man be working. And look at all the stuff you just said. You got all these projects dropping and all the stuff you're doing. So yeah, I wish you continued success. And like I said, doors always open. Likewise. Anytime you want to come back and share. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the time too. I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you too. All right, and that's a wrap for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, I'd like to thank my special guest, Admiral, for coming through and sharing all of that knowledge and wisdom and dropping all those gems. I'd like to thank my home station, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Make sure you come back next week. I got more goodness lined up for you. So, till next time, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend, and I'll see you then. Peace.